So one day there's this kid called Billy, and he goes into school and he sits down and he opens his desk. And in his desk he sees a note, and he looks around and he can't, and everyone's kind of talking in their own little groups. So he takes on the note and he reads it, and it says Purple Passion. And he's confused and he's looking around trying to find out who gave it to him. He doesn't recognise the handwriting, and it just says Purple Passion. He's like, well, this is weird. Then the teacher comes in, and everyone's like quiet and sits in their seat, quickly gets all their stuff, and he's still like puzzling over this note and trying to work out who sent it. And she's like, Billy, come to the front of the class. And he's like, okay. He's like, what are you doing passing notes in my classroom? And he's like, oh, I just found this in my desk, I don't know what it is. He's like, well, go on, read it to the rest of the class. He's like, it just says Purple Passion. And she's like, what? Get out of my classroom now. He's like, what? She's like, get out of my classroom now. And he's like, well, where do you want me to go? And she was like, just go to the principal's office. I don't want you here anymore. So he's like, okay, well, that's weird. He like goes to get his stuff. He's like, no, just get out now, go. So he's like, well, okay, whatever. So he walks down to the principal's office and knocks on the door. The principal's like, what? He's like, okay, he comes in tentatively, like, and walks in. So, what do you want? My teacher sent me here. He's like, okay, sit down. What's the problem? He's like, well, my teacher sent me here. I just told you that. He's like, well, why? It's only 9 o'clock. We haven't even had registration yet. Or homeroom, I guess you guys call it.
Same time.
And he's like, well, there's this note in my desk, and the teacher saw me reading it, and asked what it was. I told her, and she sent me here, and that's all I know. He's like, well, that's stupid. If you didn't write the note, you don't know who the note's from, you don't know what the note says, why would she send you there? He's like, well, that's my question exactly. Which was like, well, what does this note say? He's like, well, it says Purple Passion. As soon as he says Purple Passion, like, the head teacher just goes like scarlet, like so angry, like he's gripping his desk and his knuckles are white. He's like, you get out of this school now. I don't want you ever to set foot in the grounds again. Just get out, leave, you're expelled. And he's like, well, I didn't do anything. You just said yourself that I don't care, just get out of my school now. So he's like, okay. So he walks out, and he's just walking around town for a bit, because he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't, like, it's only like 10 past 9 at this point, so he doesn't want to go home. So he's just walking around town for a bit, and he's confused, doesn't know what's going on. So like, all he's got is like this note in his pocket, and eventually it gets like lunchtime of him walking around town, and he's getting pretty hungry, so he decides to go home. And both his parents are back for lunch, and they're in the kitchen chatting, and they hear the door open, and they're like, oh, who is it? And he's like, it's me. And they're like, oh, what's the matter? Was it a half day and the school didn't tell us or something? He's like, no, I got expelled. And he knew they weren't going to be very happy, but at first they were like, what? Why did you get expelled? You're normally such a good kid. And he's like, I really, really don't understand it. Like, I go into school today, I open my desk, there's a note, I open the note, and it says Purple Passion, and as soon as he says Purple Passion, like, his mum screams and faints. Like, I'm not going to imitate it. And his dad just gets real angry. He's like, you are not my son anymore. You know that intense parents get when they're not shouting, but you can tell it's like scarier than shouting? That's what he's like, you are not my son anymore. You do not belong to this family. You get upstairs, you pack your stuff, you have 5 minutes, and then you are out. And you are never setting foot in this house again. So Billy's like, what? What? And he starts like, shut up. Get your stuff together, go, 5 minutes, that's all you've got. So Billy's like crying, tears pouring down his face. He grabs like a bag and just stuffing something. He's like, I don't understand. So he gets his stuff together and he's like outside again, walking around. He doesn't know like what's going on or why this is happening to him. So he's walking through town and he's like crying, and like he happens to walk past the police station, and he's like, if anyone can help me, they can. So he walks into the police station, and the first thing the police say to him, oh, what are you doing outside school this time? He's like, well, I got expelled and I just need to talk to you guys. And they're like, okay, come in. And they sit him down. They make him a cup of tea. Because
Coffee.
In America.
no, but he's like 10. They're not going to give a 10-year-old coffee. I have thought this through.
Hot chocolate then.
Hot cocoa.
There we go.
You give him hot cocoa with squirty cream and marshmallow and whatever else you fantasize about.
Squirty cream?
Whipped cream.
Okay.
And so they sit him down and they're like, so what's the problem? He's like, well, I got into school today and the teacher got angry and the principal expelled me and my parents kicked me out. And I'm like, this is really weird. That must have been quite some note. And he's like, that's the thing, I don't know what the note said. It just said purple passion. And as soon as they said purple passion, like, the police, they stand up and what? Sorry. And they get like real intense again. They're like, what? And he's like, purple passion. and the police are like, right, come with us. This is above us. We're taking you to see the mayor. So they get him in like the back of the police car, like with the cage separating him from the police, and they drive him like sirens blaring, like drive him crazy. And now, the thing about this mayor is that he's running for Congress this year, and it's an election year. So there's like lots of press and reporters when they get there, and they take him in, they take him up to the mayor's office. And they're like, oh, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, do you have some time? There's lots of reporters in the room. And the mayor wants to look like he cares about the kids, so he's like, yeah, come in, I've always got time for the kids. And so all the reporters are there, and the mayor's like, no, son, tell me, what's the problem? And Billy starts telling him, and he's feeling reassured by all the adults in the room, and they're all laughing, they're all comfortable. So he's like, well, I got into school today, and I opened my desk, and I found this note, and then my teacher saw me looking at the note, and she thought it was mine, so she made me read it to the class, and then she got angry and she sent me to the principal. I told him about it and he got angry and expelled me, and then I was walking around town, and then my mum and dad kicked me out of the house and I didn't know where to go, so I went to the police and they brought me here because they said you're the only one to handle this. And the mayor, because he's trying to make a good impression, is all like, oh, that's fine, I'll sort everything out, I'll talk to the principal and let you back in, I'll sort things out with your parents, that you can move back in there, don't worry about it, everything's going to be fine. And like all the reporters like, yeah, he's such a good mayor, elect him, because the press are nice. And one of the reporters puts their hand up. It's like, excuse me, just for reference, can I ask what the note said? And Billy feels like really comfortable now, and everything's going to be fine. So he's like, oh, it's really silly, really. I don't even know what it means. It just says purple passion. You could have heard a pin drop. Like as soon as he says purple passion, like dead silence for like 10 seconds, but it feels like an eternity to Billy. Like all of a sudden, like the cameras are flashing again, everyone's like scribbling, taking notes, and the stories are changing, and the mayor turns just white. He grabs his two most trusted advisors and Billy, drags them into like a closet and like slams the door shut so they can have some privacy. And the mayor grabs Billy and he says, like, look, I can't handle this. This is an election year and I cannot have this. Like, I just can't be associated with this kind of thing. And Billy's like, what? And he's like, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to get you a private jet and we're going to fly you to Washington DC, and you're going to talk to the president because he's the only one in the country with the clearance to talk to you about this, because I cannot handle this.
Wait a
not an
second.
election year.
If the president's the only one with clearance to handle this, how did a school teacher know about it?
Devin, be quiet.
There's no logic.
You'll find out at the end.
This is a true story, Devin. I don't know all the ins and outs. I don't know how the American system works, okay?
I guess it works.
So they fly him off to Washington DC, and Billy is like so disorientated at this point, and like he's just tired. He just wants to go home, and he wants the whole day back again. You know those days that you're just like probably not as bad as Billy, but you just want the whole day to start again because it was just a horrible day. So eventually he makes it to Washington DC, and they take him into the president, and they have to wait a while because the president's kind of a busy man. But eventually they take him in, and everyone else leaves the room. It's just him and the president, and he's so emotional. As soon as he starts talking, he's crying. I just found school today and a desk and there's no one. It's that purple passion and the teacher told me off and the principal kicked me out and my parents also kicked me out and then the police don't know what to do and the mayor doesn't know what to do and if you don't know what to do, I don't know who does. And the person's like, sorry Sam, what is that? What was it the note said? He's like, it's that purple passion. And the president walks over to him, puts his hand on his shoulder and says, don't worry son, everything's going to be fine. And they walk to the window and he's like, you see that house over there? Go over there and knock on the door. The man in there is going to tell you everything and it's all going to be fine. And Billy's like, thank you! And he walks outside and starts crossing the road. He gets hit by a bus. Moral of the story, always look both ways before you cross the road.
That's awesome. That's like a super anti-joke. Yes! I love anti-jokes.
What was this whole fashion thing? What was that? You don't know.
That is an anti-joke.
No,
I'm totally gonna go to school. Like,
I also have I don't know.